So, why is knowing the difference between these damages and wear and tear so important? Because it's pretty doubtful that you're going to get your rental unit returned back to you in the exact same condition as when the tenant moved in. I think maybe 2 or 3 times we have had tenants return the unit to us in the exact same pristine condition where we had little or no work to perform to flip it and get it ready for the next tenant.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, it's very rare, but man, it is nice when that happens.
Welcome to your Landlord Resource Podcast. Many moons ago, when I started as a landlord, I was as green as it gets. I may have had my real estate license, but I lacked confidence and the hands-on experience needed when it came to dealing with tenants, leases, maintenance, and bookkeeping. After many failed attempts, fast forward to today, Kevin and I have doubled our doors and created an organized, professionally operated rental property business. Want to go from overwhelmed to confident? If you're an ambitious landlord or maybe one in the making, join us as we provide strategies and teach actionable steps to help you reach your goals and the lifestyle you desire, all while building a streamlined and profitable rental property business. This is your Landlord Resource Podcast. Hey there, landlords. Thanks so much for being here and listening to the Your Landlord Resource Podcast. I am your host, Stacy Casella, and I'm here with my co-host and husband, Kevin Kilroy.
Hello there, everyone. And we appreciate all you giving the podcast to listen today.
So today we are going to be discussing how to determine if you have wear and tear or damage to a unit. So the official definition of wear and tear is that it is expected decline in the condition of a property due to normal everyday use. It is deterioration that occurs in the course of living in a property. It is not caused by abuse or neglect. So examples of this would be dirty grout in the kitchen or the bathroom floors, kitchen cabinet handles or pulls that have come loose, faded or small stains in carpet, and small scratches or even dents in hardwood floor or vinyl flooring.
So something that is deteriorating, aka wear and tear, also includes things like, scuffs in the paint or those, on chrome finishes on bathroom faucets, they get pitted. It could be small chips in plaster, peeling or cracking paint. It's the stuff that just happens naturally from day-to-day living.
Okay, so let me define damage now. And basically, it is not occurring naturally, and its harm affects the value, the usefulness, or the normal function of your property. Typically, damage happens on purpose, like someone putting their fist through a door or a wall, or by neglect, which can be what a lot of landlords see with pets, like chewed up molding or urine stains or, scratched up walls and stuff.
And we've definitely seen a lot of those. And the funny thing is, we don't allow pets, and we still magically see those problems. So do you remember the time, and this was way back before we had to do pre-move-out inspections, we did a move-out walkthrough after this guy had vacated and really didn't see anything wrong. And we sent our contractor, Jim, in to do some work that needed to be completed before the next tenant came in. And he called and asked if we had seen where the tenant patched a large hole in the kitchen wall and not patched it very well. We kind of both looked at each other. We had no idea what he was talking about. So we were up there to check it out. I mean, sure enough, it was the worst patch job ever. And we've seen some bad ones. And it didn't help, but it was huge. It was like 3 foot around. It was in the kitchen. We really couldn't figure out how it got there. I mean, either he violently swung open the freezer door or just got mad and punched a hole in the wall. Either way, strange. The problem was that when we went in, we were looking for the obvious stuff, like if the kitchen cabinets were clean, if the inside of the fridge was okay, and looking for damage of all those things, but we didn't look at the blank wall staring us right in the face.
Yeah, we're definitely not checking it out to see if the texture matches, but we sure do that now. And this one might be before your time, Kev, but in Unit 5, we had a tenant with a puppy that we had no idea about. Now, mind you, like Kevin said, In this complex, we don't allow pets. And we found out afterward when we went in for the move out inspection and saw the windowsill all chewed up, and not like just chewed a little, like half gone. And no, we did not notice it during the mid-year inspection because there was a couch pushed up against it and the pillows covered it. Back then, we were not as investigative as we are now and did not test the windows, so we didn't go near it to be able to see where the damage was. And who knows, that puppy could have come in after our inspection anyway. So why is knowing the difference between these damages and wear and tear so important? Because it's pretty doubtful that you're going to get your rental unit returned back to you in the exact same condition as when the tenant moved in. I think maybe 2 or 3 times we have had tenants return the unit to us in the exact same pristine condition where we had little or no work to perform to flip it and get it ready for the next tenant.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, it's very rare, but man, it is nice when that happens. So I know I've said this before, but Stacy usually does the cleaning to all of our units. And you guys, she is stripping that place down and cleaning every single surface, corner, drawer, you name it, it gets clean. But at move out, more often than not, we are left with the dirty fridge, or the oven wasn't cleaned, or there's crumbs in the drawer. I mean, most people don't pay attention to detail when cleaning.
And we do realize we are not the norm for landlords. We are told all the time by tenants that they appreciate how we go above and beyond to maintain our units and keep them happy. Again, I clean those units as if I'm going to move in there. I'm taking all the shelves and the drawers out of that fridge and washing them down and then disinfecting and wiping the entire inside of the fridge and freezer before putting everything back together. I remove plugs and switch plates to wash off the dirt and the oils from their hands, and you'd be amazed at how nice that makes a wall look after Kevin has touched up the paint on it. And we always install a new toilet seat and pretty much wipe down every single surface in the entire unit.
And I will say, Stacy found a great cleaner, and now we use her whenever we can. And you guys, if she meets Stacy's standards, you know she's good. The best part is, now that we're converting one of the studios to a midterm unit, she's on board to clean that with all the turnovers we expect to have.
Yeah. And well, let's hope we don't have a lot of turnovers, but
Yeah.
yeah, she's great. She's certainly not cheap, but you do get what you pay for with her. So here are some tips on how you guys can prevent damages from occurring in the first place. The first thing we want to suggest is to fully screen your tenants. We call and talk to their personal references. We ask if they have a pet, and shockingly, a couple of times, have been told yes. And then we have to go to the applicant and find out what's going on. And it definitely puts a little question about their truthfulness in our mind. We also ask about how they keep their home. Some are honest and say, well, he's a guy right out of college. His place is a mess. Or she's not the cleanest person, but she's very organized. We also ask what the tenant likes to do in their spare time. And what we hope to hear is they work a lot. And when they're not working, they love being outdoors, like hiking and traveling. And why? Because someone who is rarely home will have less wear and tear on their unit. We also ask if they like to cook. If the personal reference says yes, we get all excited and we ask, ooh, what's your favorite thing to eat that they make? And if they say a fried food or curry, you can bet that unit's going to have a lot of grease to clean up, or it's going to smell like turmeric when you go in there. The second thing you want to do is you want to take photos of every room from every angle so that you can show the condition of the property before the tenant moves in. And you want to hand over your unit as clean and as maintained as possible. It's important to show the tenant how nice you take care of your units, so maybe they will too.
And another big thing is you're going to have to get into that unit twice a year for inspections. You want to check everything, so open the blinds and windows. Open the closet doors to look for mold behind the clothes. Check the bathrooms for mildew and make sure they're using the exhaust fan, or at least opening the window to vent it after showering. Check all the appliances for dents or scratches. And of course, look for leaks and check faucets. When you do, look at sinks to find chips or cracks or anything that could be deemed damage. You also want to look for broken windows, missing doorknobs, or broken cabinet doors. If you find quote unquote damage, make sure you address it right away. Don't ignore it. This only lets them think it's okay and acceptable. You're going to want to take a photo of the damage and include it in the inspection report that you send to the tenant. So let's say you find a cracked or broken window. Let them know it will be getting fixed and they will have to pay for the repair. You will have to arrange for the payment either direct to the repair person or to reimburse you. Every 6 months, we go in for inspection and maintenance. And when they notify you that they're moving out, make sure you offer them a pre-move-out inspection so you can show them what needs to be done to get their deposit back. For us, this is mostly pertaining to cleaning the unit, but it can be for them too, repairing any damage that might be there, or at least advising them that the damages will be deducted from their security deposit, like broken window blinds, big stains in the carpet, pet stains on the hardwood floor, stuff like that. And like we mentioned earlier, when we do this inspection, the tenant stuff is still in the unit, so we can't see flooring under throw rugs or holes hidden behind artwork. This is exactly how we missed that huge stain in a bedroom carpet that had been covered by a dresser, and the damaged vinyl floors covered by a carpet by the front door. So just do your best and make sure you explain to the tenant that because you don't have access to the unit empty because they're still present, that anything found on the final walkthrough still could be deducted from their security deposit.
Yeah, you really want to make sure that you cover yourself. And to be honest, both those issues happen in the same unit, but with different tenants.
You know those books that made you fall asleep in high school English class? They can also help you grow leadership skills you can use right now. My name is Hassan Sorrells, and I am the host of the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast. On this podcast, we read selections from great literature in the West and globally, and extract lessons from those books that can help your transformation to becoming a better leader today. Because reading and understanding great literature is better than reading and trying to understand yet another business book. Listen and subscribe to the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast on all the major podcast players like this one, and tell all your colleagues in leadership. And thanks.
There does seem to be something about that one unit that have issues. I think it's cursed. It was the same one when the dog chewed the windowsill, right?
Yes, it was. Don't jinx it. But yeah, it's the same one where the guys also had a party and their friends threw up over the railing all over the neighbor's house.
Oh God, I forgot about that one. Yeah, that unit is our problem child for sure.
So if you have any questions on what is deemed wear and tear and what is damage, the Department of Housing and Urban Development has a site with details that should help you determine one way or the other. We'll link it in the show notes. But for the most part, damage is something that occurs because the tenant was negligent. Like we said before, holes in the walls, large stains on the carpet, or even holes in the carpets, broken doors or missing cabinet doors, broken windows, dents in appliances, stuff like that. And how can you prove this is negligence? Of course, take photos of the unit before they move in. But the best way is by having a very detailed lease and making sure that lease is read and understood before the tenant signs. If you have had issues with something before that happened to your property and you want to make sure it doesn't happen again, make sure it's covered in your lease. If not in the main body, use an addendum to detail it all out.
So we had an experience once where a tenant put huge holes in the wall to hang a TV bracket up. And we get it. We like our TV elevated too, but these holes were left, about half-inch round? And those are a pain in the butt to fill, especially with textured walls. We understand that textured walls are supposed to be able to cover imperfections, but if you allow a tenant to fill those holes, there is little chance the texture will match, and the patch job definitely will be noticeable.
Well, especially now we have learned how to look for that since we had that other problem in the other unit. So live and learn, right? And now we have an addendum that describes how many holes that we allow per wall and the maximum size of the hole before we're going to charge a fee to repair it. We also include what the fine is going to be on the lease. So if they want to put larger holes in the wall, they can decide if they're going to pay that fee or not. And I think it's something, to me, it's kind of outrageous, but I think we charge $50 a hole.
Well, since we've added that addendum, we haven't had to deal with them again, right?
Well, actually, yeah, when we went in and did the inspections, one of our units has 2 TVs that are hanging up. So I anticipate
Okay.
probably some holes on that one.
And the other thing people get dinged for under damage would be alterations to the unit. So if someone asks you before moving in if they can paint a wall or put up wallpaper and you're going to allow it, make sure the details are written out in the addendum as well. I mean, be very specific.
And just so you guys know, you can create a paint deck of colors that they can choose from that are acceptable by you. And we'd suggest lighter colors that are easier to paint over, even if it's the tenant doing the painting back to the original color from move-in. Dark colors are really hard to cover, and most people who lack experience in painting will not understand what primer you use or all the details that are going to need to get it covered up. And when it comes to wallpaper, nothing permanent is advised. They do have wallpaper now that sticks on and then peels off right away, and that works amazing. So maybe you can approve something like that.
And I'll tell you, I had a couple jobs when I was in college removing wallpaper. I still get nightmares about that with the steamer and no.
Well, when we remodeled this house, we had a lot of wallpaper in this house that we took off.
All right. Okay. That's my issue though, but go ahead.
Yeah, wallpaper, no way. I know a lot of people love it, but whew, it's a pain. All right, you guys, wear and tear is inevitable. And when you go in for your inspections, let's say you notice that the blinds that you've had in there for the last few years are not opening anymore. And I'm going to say don't blame the tenant on that one. Chances are you haven't spent a lot of money on those blinds. And if they're used daily, they're not going to last that long. So offer to replace them with new ones to let the tenant know that you care about their living experience there. If only one burner on the stove works, get it fixed. Or even better, if their renewal is coming up, when you send out that renewal offer to replace that stove if they renew. Like those are the kinds of incentives that work great because you're going to have to replace or repair that stove anyway if they decide to move out. So make yourself look good by being responsible and your tenant will really appreciate it. And after inspections, make sure you're sending an email to them to let them know what you found and how it's going to be handled. If you find a large hole where someone punched through a wall, take pictures and send it along with your email. Let them know that you will handle getting it fixed at the tenant's expense. Make sure you include an estimate of what the charges are going to be in the email. Do not wait, assuming their security deposit is going to cover it later. For starters, if you don't bring the damage to their attention, they will think you didn't notice or didn't care and just continue to abuse your unit. When they go to move out, there might be so much damage that the security deposit doesn't cover it all. And good luck getting more money to cover the overage from bad tenants like that. If you only find something like the broken window blinds, explain that you're going to work on getting them replaced. Don't give them a definite date. But if something's a hazard or needs to be cleaned, send pictures along with the verbiage from the lease, letting them know that they're in violation and give them, a number of days to remedy it. I think that we give like 5 days for something that's not causing immediate danger. We like to think that we communicate well with the tenants and let them know when anything is going on. So, case in point, we recently found out that we had termites in the sixplex. Again. And we found that because a tenant called and said that flies were coming in through holes in his walls. So we told him to cover the holes with tape. Works great, by the way, to keep out all those termites if that's the problem. And then we scheduled an inspection with our pest guy and our contractor for the following week. And after the inspection, we sent each tenant their inspection results, told them about the finding of the termites, and that we would let them know when the exterminator would be back, which we did about a week later. We sent another email out.
Let me jump in here quick and recommend that you follow up that email with text or any important emails you send to them. Always follow it up with a text because not all tenants read their emails. One of our tenants didn't even know we had termites, nor did he know when the exterminators were coming out to do the work. And like I said, this was within a week or two.
Yeah, about 10
So,
days.
yeah, always kind of follow up with the text. It really helps.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty interesting. So apparently he gave us a spam email that he uses to sign up for things, and he never checks it.
So, right there is something that happened and made us aware of a potential problem we were facing. So, we created a solution to it. And you guys have to always be pivoting and thinking of ways to improve stuff, especially communication.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So let's switch gears a little and talk about security deposits because people want their security deposits back and they feel that they paid rent on time and followed the lease terms, so they should get it back. If issues are not addressed prior to move out, there can be a lot of he said, she said conflicts that can lead to legal problems. And the issue is after someone moves out, you're able to see much more than you can when you are in there doing inspections, just like Kevin said about the damaged floor covered by the carpet. Now, obviously, they knew it was there and never reported it, so we had the right to deduct from their security deposit for those repairs. That's damage. You cannot, however, deduct from a security deposit for wear and tear. You have to be able to prove that the issue you find is damage and was caused by negligence on the part of the tenant. Say, like a tenant who dyed their hair and rinsed it in the bathroom sink, horribly staining it. And they might claim that they have no idea how it happened. But sinks don't just get stained without some sort of dye or solution being put down it. You might not need to replace the sink, but you might need to purchase a special solution to clean it, and it might take you several times to complete that. And this is something you can deduct from a security deposit. Make sure you keep your receipts and detailed notes as well.
And hey, you guys, if you want details on processing security deposits, go back and listen to episode 7. We talk all about tenant move outs and security deposits. It'll be linked in the show notes.
Okay, so one thing that you definitely can deduct from a security deposit is cleaning, though. When someone puts in their notice, we send them an email that contains the process. So, setting your move out date, pre move out inspection window, and a schedule of all the items that need to be cleaned and what we're going to charge them if they don't clean it. We have it written in the lease that they have to return the unit back to us in the exact same condition received.
And you guys, we cover every inch of those units with a hefty cleaning fee that ranges between, I think it's $600 to $800. We know it seems astronomical, and it is, but we usually get our units back in pretty good condition.
And we do refer them to our cleaning person who charges a couple $100 to get in there and do a deep cleaning. So a lot of the tenants remember how clean the units were when they moved in and realize it's probably better to pay like a fourth of the costs that we're going to charge them if they don't clean at all. And guess what? If they make a pretty good effort by cleaning it themselves, we do let it go. Now, one thing that many landlords will do is put in their lease that carpet cleaning fees are paid by the tenant at move out and will be deducted from their security deposit. And I have no idea if this is allowed in all states, but use caution if you do this, because if there are not any big stains and there is just simple wear and tear, like dirty paths where the tenant walked, that is wear and tear. You cannot charge someone for that.
Nope, not at all. And we found a real useful PDF from HUD online, and this is a 2-page description of wear and tear versus damage for landlords to share with their tenants. We'll link the PDF in the show notes. Go ahead and download it and use it as a guide for your tenants. It would also be good to include in the lease as well as your move-out acknowledgement email.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I think that's included with the HUD information that we mentioned earlier. Yeah, so I think that's all on one PDF. The last thing we want to talk about is communication. As we have said, if you have specific instructions on how to use something in your unit, please let the tenant know. This is going to help avoid that, well, you didn't tell me conversation, like garbage disposals. I know a lot of landlords don't like to put them in their units, and that's your choice. We do have them, and we now include detailed instructions and use and care for the disposals in the lease and in our unit binder. We explain how they need to be run every time a tenant rinses a dish, that they should be run using cold water, We have a list of items that cannot go down the disposal, and we have a tool that we leave under the sink to use in case the disposal gets jammed. And we also made a video on how to use the tool, and we have a QR code in our unit binder that they can scan and go straight to the video. So we're doing what we can to set up our tenants for success. And as our friend and self-managing landlord Sarah King says, you need to tenant-proof your units. So when you communicate, whether that be in a lease, over email, or by text, or by leaving instructions on how to use something in the unit binder, you're putting the outcome in the tenant's hands. If you get a call that the disposal's jammed and they can't fix it, and you go out or send someone out and they find artichoke leaves all wrapped around the blades, you can charge them for a service call because that is negligible damage on their part. Same goes for a toilet that clogs because the tenant put wipes or paper towels down it. Your lease should already state that nothing but toilet paper goes down a toilet. So, should you need a plumber to go out and they find something else, the tenant is on the hook for the cost to remedy the situation. All right, you guys, we could go on and on about damages we have found and had to deal with, but I think we are going to end it here today.
Yeah, it's been so much fun rehashing all those issues we found. I mean, no PTSD on those findings here, huh?
No, right?
Can't believe you made me think about wallpaper again.
Oh, man, I tell you, owning rental property is a true adventure. You know, it can be a lucrative one, but it sure does make you wonder if it's all worth it when something really bad happens. So thanks so much for tuning in to the show today. As always, we appreciate you listening to all we have to say. We'd love to keep in touch with you, so we will include links in the show notes on how to sign up for our free weekly newsletter, download our free forms and products that we offer, to join our private Facebook group, and follow us on social media. And Kevin and I are working on a course just for landlords. It's called From Marketing to Move-In, and it's going to cover pretty much everything you're going to need to place your ideal tenant into a unit. If you'd like to learn more and possibly be a part of our beta group, we will put a link to sign up in the show notes. So until next time, you've got this, landlords.